Vaseline. That's all I can say.
Good. We're live, by the way.
You're
Joe.
now watching two old farts making noises.
Well, here we go. It's the man that promises you nothing and delivers. It's the veritable man motor mouth. It's Road Woods who feels the need to call himself Rob Vega. It somehow makes him feel important. Anyway, do have a listen and try not to throw up.
We are back. Hey, that's supposed to say vaguely true, not mostly true.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, I was looking at that mostly true thing, and I'm thinking,
yeah, it's vaguely true.
This is where people come for facts. All I can say is, in the words of what Eddie, what's his name, Hudson, Miscongeniality. Do you remember that scene where Benjamin Bratt is pretending to be a woman?
Oh yeah.
Says, if I'm our best hope, it doesn't inspire much confidence.
So there you go. So, but anyway, everything we say here is true. We've researched it with our team of researchers that come from Bellevue.
Here's my researcher.
Yeah,
here's my researcher.
That's right.
Here's my other researcher, and then I've got another researcher, but it's this one here. It's that.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
that's my research team.
Our team of researchers have researched everything we say. We have fact checked it just as good as Fox. Just as good as Fox News did the 2020 election. So we're good.
This is our marketing team. This one. So.
You're the one, Dave. That's it.
I know. I'm the one.
You're the one. You're the one. You're the one. That's it.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Hey, beef and victory. Okay, Winston.
No. Winston.
So what do we have today, boys?
And got to.
Well, I was gonna. He's still on with
that.
1 and 2. He's still counting.
Okay.
Sorry.
We just talked. It's very exciting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We good? Right? We good?
Well, I hadn't got round to changing the titles, and I was looking for it desperately today, and couldn't find it. So I'll have to revamp them for you.
But the thumbnail will say vaguely true, not to worry. So that should confuse our fans. That'll be awesome.
Yeah,
they're going to be thinking they're high.
That's fine. I don't have anyone to confuse, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, you have lots of fans. You've got thousands. What?
Yeah,
it's the wrath, the wrath of the.
Yeah, suggest an alternate hobby. Okay. So I just want to talk about blame. Honestly, there's so much blame.
Oh, well, that's a good start. Then you blame me already for the bloody titles. That's a good start.
I'm getting into it.
Yeah,
I'm getting into it.
Oh.
That's awesome.
I'm just starting character. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Blame.
Oh my God.
Yes. Everybody, there's so much blame going on right now.
Yes, there is.
I see
there
it
is
here.
a lot
I
of
see
blame.
it there. Sorry, I can hear a noise coming from you, Dave, but I'm not making out the words.
Oh my God! Oh, you guys are killing me. Keep going.
I'm speechless.
It doesn't sound like it.
That's a first.
There's a sound coming out. It doesn't. It may not be speech. So maybe you're right. You are speechless.
That's what it was. I'm having a stroke. I'm having a stroke. Don't worry about me. I'm having a stroke. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so we're talking about the blaming.
Right. There's just a lot of blaming going on. I saw this. I don't know. There's just so much. Everyone is blaming everyone for everything. History, things not happening, the past, the future, whatever. Right. There isn't a single person standing up saying it's my fault. No one is doing that. No one, because honestly, if they did, they would be cauterized. I think that's the problem. No one wants to. No one. It's like everyone has turned into politicians, sports people, you name it. Everyone is just. It's not me. It's someone else. It's the past. It was those people. It's just. We were talking about this whole thing where people don't take responsibility. I mean, that's what you teach your kids, right? Be responsible, but I'm not responsible for anything in my life. There's so much of it right now.
Well, I'm responsible for putting up the wrong credits, so I'll take that responsibility.
I think we're past that one, Dave. I think we're on to another topic now.
I'm a bit slow on the uptake.
So,
I just.
So I've thrown the blame stone in the pond.
Yeah.
I'm seeing. What do you guys think about
getting seriously wet this in? I can tell you. But there you go.
I think you're right. I think I've never heard anybody say, yes, we screwed up. We did that. We have to fix it. Everybody's like, well, here's what happened. And it's sort of like, seriously? You're correct. Politicians, sports teams, now, not everybody, like sports guys over here, if they lose a game, some of the people just say, we didn't play well. Okay. But I've never heard one guy go,
Right.
I've
Maybe
only heard
that's
it a
the
couple
exception,
times.
yeah.
I've only heard it a couple times in sports where a quarterback or a running back or someone said, I screwed up. I didn't do this right. I should have done this. The coach calling plays, you can call the plays you want, but if the 12 guys or 11 guys on the field can't execute them, it's not your fault. It's their fault. So I've heard it a few times in U.S. football. I don't think I've ever seen it in soccer anywhere or football. I'm sorry, football on the planet where someone said it's my fault. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. In baseball, I don't think I've ever seen it. Hockey, I've never seen it. Auto racing, actually in Formula One, I've seen Lewis Hamilton say, my fault. I just didn't do what I needed to do. Didn't blame it on the car. Sometimes he will. I've seen Formula One drivers take the responsibility that they just screwed up. So, but I haven't seen it, like there's no politician that ever said we screwed up. So,
I think
have you been watching the cricket, Rod? Because we just drew the second test.
England
against the Aussies.
David was playing.
I wish.
There's another topic we should talk about, how we are in the sports team. Bill Martin, you know what? If there's this business where I'm our team, and he always says, if this guy met you in a bar, you'd knock your head off. He wouldn't give you the time of the day, but you're in the team. You're a patriot. You're a, I don't know.
No, I'm a cricket fan. So
I'm saying more generally, Dave. Try to keep up. Okay. I'm saying generally, people do that. They go, my team, Manchester United won. We won. You didn't win. You can't even kick a ball, you clown. You're not we. Why do people do that? What is that? And most of the players in the team are not even from your country or your city. Wow. Just say no.
But we sleep with your women. We sleep with your women though. So that's the important thing, I think. So we may not be from your city, your country, or your state, but we sleep with your women. So that's
crazy. I mean, the Premier League is full of. At one stage, I mildly supported Chelsea because I was born in that vicinity,
right?
And I say mildly. I like the color blue. What can I say?
Yeah, fair with a fan.
But the game, I could care two hoots about it. But at one point, there was one Englishman on that side, and I was the goalkeeper. So, what's this we? I mean, it's
I always ask that
crazy.
when I lived in Palm Beach on Saturday, people would be like, "Oh, we have a football game today," and I'm thinking, "We have a football game today," and they'd be like, "University." It'd be the University of Miami. It'd be the University of Miami, and then FAU became a real football team. So people would be like, "Oh," in Boca, they'd be like, "We have a football game," and I'm thinking, I don't want to be rude or anything, but as far as I know, we are not. I always thought that we are not on the team. I'm a fan.
No, exactly.
So as a fan, I have a game I would like to go watch, but I've never said we have a football game or we have Formula One. Like I just like on Formula One, it's like I don't go, oh, we have a race. No, I don't. I'm watching Formula One today. I don't have anything to do. I'm sitting and smoking a cigar, enjoying guys who are driving left and right and doing whatever for 2 hours, and it's exciting.
Just to be clear. You can support a team. That's absolutely fine. But the we part is the problem.
Yeah.
For me, the only time we becomes applicable is when it's international. And that what happens in international competitions generally is all those players that have been bought by all these teams tend to reassemble in their countries and then become whatever country they are again.
Right.
And then you can
that's why it was
there's a bit of a we there.
That's why it was we, England. Because that's what I was referring to.
Yeah, but you're in England. You're in the Netherlands right now. You threw your passport away, you traitor.
I didn't. I didn't throw my passport away. I wish I could. No, I didn't say that. No, I didn't throw my passport away. No.
Didn't you? Okay, good. All right. But you wouldn't go back. You wouldn't go back, would you?
I don't think they'd have me.
Would they not have you? Okay.
No.
What have you done?
No, I think I would find it difficult to go back. I think I've always felt more European, I think.
So not we then.
Slightly large. Well, it is a we.
I'm
because
kidding. Of course
Do you have to
Yeah.
make a we,
I mean,
or you're just talking about?
exactly.
the thing that
Oh,
disturbed me most, and it was unfortunate that the particular gentleman asked me that on the day that I was trying to enter the UK to go to my father's funeral. But he had the audacity when I gave him my passport. He asked me, "What are you doing here?" So, I said, "What do you
What
mean?
are you
What am I
doing
doing
here,
here?" I said, I'm a UK part. I'm a British passport holder. You don't have any right to ask me what I'm doing here.
All right.
Come on. But it wasn't a good day. Wasn't a good day.
That's usually what they say at JFK to people that are not Americans. What is your business here?
Yeah.
What is your business here? Why are you here?
And to the US, they usually say to us, "Oh, did you you're back, and did you enjoy your trip, and this and that?" And it's like they have mixed small talk. And when I used to go to Canada back in the day, I was looking at a place to live in Vancouver when 2016 happened.
Right.
And I remember they have US customs at the Canadian airport when you leave. So when you come back to the States, you just can go off your airplane. They do it in Ireland too. And I remember the lady at the US customs agent was like, "So what were you in Canada for?" And I was like, looking at a home, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, "Oh, you don't love America?" I go, "I do, just don't like the president." I said to her, "If you don't want to let me come home, I'm good with that. I mean, my Mickey Mouse suitcase can go back to the hotel and I can just live here." And she just looked at me like, lady, I don't know. I don't realize, I think like with customs, I understand your questions, but seriously, it's like, I'm in Canada. What do you care why I'm in Canada? It's like when you go to Canada or any country, you go, "Is it for business or pleasure?" Yes, it's for both. And if you tell somebody that, that's David's hostage in the corner. But if you, that's one of the cricket players that we were talking about. But anyway, it's just, I get it. I'm like, the questions they ask you, I understand bringing back currency and all that, but it's like business or pleasure. I don't know. I'm going for both. I go for business. There's pleasure, I guess. I can hang out with guys I know. We smoke cigars. That's pleasurable, but most of it's business. So I don't really understand the questions they ask.
Maybe they're blaming you. Maybe they're blaming you. Good segue.
There you go.
Maybe they're blaming you that you left.
Oh,
and
maybe.
They think, he's
and
gone.
You're blaming the president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
yeah, that's not
someone.
not difficult. But is he then?
Someone.
Is he our president or your president or my president?
Who are we talking about?
Yeah.
Well.
The president of the United States would be the president of the United States. Whether somebody thinks their president or our president, apparently he's not David's president, but if you're the president of the United States, you're the president, right? You're not, I guess you can say they're our president. I've never said our president. I go the president of, or the king of this or that. I've never said something is mine or ours. Because it's just sort of like the CEO of the company. Yeah.
Back in the day, I do remember, and I think it was Ronald Reagan. I remember him saying, in his way that he delivered his, I'm not going to do it. He said, I think he did something at the Academy Awards way back. 80s.
Yeah, back in the 60s.
Yeah. So before he got shot in the arse.
And he made the comment that I'm your president, even if you didn't vote for me, which was, I thought was kind of, the election is over. I am now every American's president. You got to look at it that way. And I thought that was quite a nice way of looking at it.
Oh, well, I suppose it's different to JFK just calling everybody a hamburger.
Well, ich bin ein Berliner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. But see, you know who I really wish, and I think he did a good job, is Obama.
Oh,
wait, let me finish. I thought Obama did a good job.
Specifically?
No. Overall.
Oh,
but here's what I didn't like. And I'm saying this because I would read articles and listen to interviews and whatever, and speak to friends of color. And he would say, like, I'm the black president. I'm a president of color. But what I wanted Obama to say is, I am everybody's president. And I don't think I ever heard him say that. He says, I'm the president of the United States, but I never heard it. And he might have. And if you did, Mr. Obama, terribly sorry. Come on the show. You can correct me.
Yeah, come on.
But I never heard him. I never heard him say
that.
he does it for free. He has to pay us. but I never heard him say, I'm the president of the United States. It makes no difference what color you are, what religion you are. I never have ever heard, I don't think any president say that. And we had a show yesterday on social intercourse, and the girls were saying, we need a female president. And I'm joking around saying, yes, we need a female, Jewish, lesbian, Puerto Rican president that ticks all the boxes. And she has to be a little dark. And she has to say, I'm everybody's president. But no one's done that.
Yeah.
Right.
Rainbow president.
Yeah.
I long for the day when you don't have to be in a box to satisfy some political objective.
I agree with that.
President. And the biggest problem I had, and this will stir some things, because if I was voting in the States, I would probably lean to the Democrats, but I'm not a massive fan of where they're going. And the Republicans, I don't know. I think America needs more parties, but that's another discussion. I think we might have had it already. I think we've had it already. But I remember a woman telling me when I lived there in the States, it was when Trump was vying. It was the election. It was Hillary and Trump. It was 2016. Right. And I was in the vicinity, and they said to me, Trump's going to win. And I said, why do you think he's going to win? I mean, everybody had their theories. Right. Michael Moore thought Trump was going to win, and he warned everybody, or whatever it was. And they said, not a chance. And they said, this woman said, there's a very good reason why he's going to win. Doesn't matter whether he's the best or not. That's not the point. He said, but all the demographics, they've pretty much got them wrapped up. But women of Hillary Clinton's age and younger, so, 40, 50, 60 something women, college educated, all saw right through her. And I said, what do you mean they saw right through her? And she said to me, this is a woman who said this to me. She said, the problem with Hillary Clinton is she's running with the idea that women are just going to vote for her. It's built into the way she speaks. Right. She says, women, I've got that sewn up. And these women were saying, you haven't got it sewn up. What are you going to do? I don't care whether you're a woman or not. A lot of men say, we need a female president. But this was a woman who said, I don't care if she's a woman. I want a woman. If it's going to be a woman, then you need to speak to me. That's generally why a woman might want a female president, because maybe she thinks that person is going to be a little bit more receptive to what she's about, maybe, or a bit more aware of it, or not. But she said what bothered her is Hillary Clinton should have known better. And she was just campaigning with the idea that she had the female vote locked up. And she said she doesn't. She doesn't have my vote because she's not speaking to me, and I don't trust her. And she said, I'm telling you now, there are millions of women around this country who feel the same way. And it turns out she was right. So there. She missed the vote.
So there's no blame game there.
The female, who gives a shite? You know what I mean? Really? Yeah. This is the thing. This is the blame thing that I find extraordinary. So basically, I'm a white fellow, and what, a white president is going to know all about me? Oh, nonsense. It's not going to happen. It's such bollocks that people think that because someone looks like you and is the same gender as you, in the way we know gender, they are automatically in touch with your issues. Nonsense. You put 10 men, 10 strange guys, men that are strangers in a bar together. They don't know crap about each other. They've got different stories, different experiences. They make different money. How can you possibly think just by having a female president or a black president or a purple president or a pumpkin that's going to make everything right? I just wish people, the world, this is the blame thing, would stop worrying about this and worry about what's inside this. This is what matters. What is the person doing? What do they offer intellectually? What are their abilities? Who cares whether they've got 10 arms, 5 arms, whatever? People are so locked into that they don't see the BS. But this particular woman that I spoke to did. She said, I don't care if she's a woman. I don't care. She said, she says, I hate to say it, I do believe in voting. I'm not someone who believes you shouldn't vote. She said, I'm probably going to vote for Trump. Wow. I said, really? All these things he says. She says, I know what you're thinking, and he's not perfect for me, but I don't trust that woman.
But I think part of the
Just
Hillary
putting
Trump,
it out into the
right,
universe.
but I think part of the Hillary
Gotta be
Trump
genuine.
part, the Hillary Trump part is Trump had a television show, and some
Uh-huh.
of the analysts were saying, which is true, he was in your living room every Thursday or whatever night it was on, so people thought they knew him. He's been in the press longer than Hillary since the late or the early '80s, so it was sort of
Yeah.
like, oh, Trump, right? So there was a lot of that, and then Trump said what everybody in Middle America was thinking. But I always said when I was a kid, if I ever ran for president, I would just say what everybody's thinking and stop being politically correct. And what
Right.
happened was Trump came out and actually did it, and everyone's like, "Oh
Yeah.
my God!" And then they
Yeah.
found out once he became president, not so good. But
No, not at all. Doesn't matter.
but the problem is you got like Biden; he's doing an okay job. But the issue is that these guys are all talking political speech, and you really need someone that comes out and just says, "Listen, this is effed up. We have to fix it. Here's how we're going to fix it." Yada yada. And you need someone that does that. And what Trump did in his own way, he did that. So, like this upcoming election next year is going to be very interesting if it's Biden and Trump, because he calls him Sleepy Joe, and Trump's going to be going to court in May about his indictment, about 37,000 charges of whatever he did. So it's going to be very interesting because one, they're both 100 years old, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm kind of like, isn't
It's
there
an ideal
anybody
age.
like you have to be 35 to run for president? Isn't everybody, I don't know, maybe 40, 45 that has a clue? That's like it. But then the guys that have a clue that are running these tech companies, let's say, I'm not saying they have a clue, or guys that are making real money, I don't know if I really want that 4 years of bull and get 250,000 or whatever it is a year. And that's okay. I get to make some decisions, but really, after seeing what we do as a country, it's kind of like, are you kidding me? It's like, it's ridiculous. So to really be president, I think back nowadays is for your ego. I think probably maybe I want to say, and I could be wrong, maybe right before, maybe Reagan was the last, or one of the Bushes was like when you were president for the country. It seems now people want to be president for ego. And I'm not saying Obama
Yes.
did
I
it
think
for
so.
ego.
I think certainly Trump did. I mean, I'd
Yeah.
still maintain he was the most surprised person on the planet when he said he's.
Yeah.
And by the way, you won. What? I won.
Yeah.
Now
But
I've got to
it's-
do something.
But success, I'll tell you what he did, and it comes back to this issue of blame.
Right.
This is why I brought
Blame
it up.
game.
Trump very successfully gave people a focus or something to blame.
Right.
That's what he did. He said, that's your target. There's your problem. It's them. And people like that, because when you get to blame something, and this is no judgment. It's a basic human, we want to blame someone or something, because when it becomes our fault, it can be quite daunting. I am the reason. This is my fault. This is a problem. Now, some people embrace that and they say, right, I can do something about it. This is good. I've got control back. Others go, well, no, I don't know what to do. And if it's my fault, then everybody's going to look at me like I'm a moron and an idiot, and I'm the one to blame. So blame is a very tough thing to accept. It's easy to push it away. And honestly, I have to say, I think he ran a great campaign. I've got to tell you right now, I'm watching. If you look through all the BS in the media, they better indict him and put him in jail. Because if Trump isn't successfully prosecuted, and I'm not sure that he will be, but let's just say that he isn't, he's getting back to the White House. Telling you that right now. People like the fact he is like this naysayer. He just comes.
Right.
What do they call it? Not an agitator. There's a word for it. You're a
Populist.
No, it's not a pop.
Dictator?
It's more than that. You're a disruptor. And people love that. They love it. This is what they look for in sports people, in actors, in leaders. They want someone who just says, I am tired of all the BS and I'm going to do things differently. And he says that. It's what comes out of his mouth. And people like it. Whether you agree with him or not, whether you think people should be thinking that way, it's immaterial. That is how people are. And the blame thing is a very comfortable way of dealing with your problems. It's not my fault. It's
Right.
the people that came to this country. It's the people that did this to my parents. It's that. It's them. It's never me. Never
Right.
me. And it's it's very comforting. Now, I'm just saying, it gets back to the whole concept of blame. And this segues nicely to what I wanted to stir the pot with, because I'm sure it's big, and I know it's big in the US right now. And someone like me, who's a student of the country, who I think America's great. I think it's the greatest democratic. It's still an experiment.
Right.
It's a young country. I love
not
it.
for long.
Well, I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
let me just, before you go into what you're going to say, let me just say
Yeah,
this
right,
about
right.
that, and then go on to what you say, because this ties to what you're saying about Trump.
Yeah.
If you look back to 1936 Germany, it's the same thing. It was the blame game. It was this, it was that.
That's
And
very
then
well.
we saw what happened in 1939, 1940, you know, people that haven't read a history book. My concern with Mr. Donnie is that if he becomes president again, and Chris Christie said this in an FT interview, that he is going to go after everybody who wronged him with a vendetta.
Of course.
So now but you're not a president, then now you're a dictator. And then what happens in 2028 when there's an election? Is there going to be an election? Are they going to spend an election? Is there going to be martial law? I mean, David's making AI movies about in 2027, there's going to be a civil war because of the crazy government. And David may be smarter than all of us on that. But that's my thing. It's like this guy's rhetoric is basically from the 1930s. And there was a guy with a mustache and his little Italian buddy. He did all the same thing.
Yeah.
And that is worrisome unless that's what everybody wants.
Steve, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to give you some evidence of what I'm saying.
Okay.
So ask yourself right now. Hey, Dave, listen to this. Ask yourself right now, in the US right now, do you think that there is a big chunk of people who still think, all right, I'm going to reference them, the people that voted for Trump last time.
Right.
People that voted for Trump in 2020. Let's look at them. Or 74 million, was it? 75 million?
Right.
All right. Let's look at them. That's a lot of people, right? I think Biden got 81 million. It's only a 6 million difference. Right. So here it is. Can you honestly tell me, just you know, don't worry about the facts, feelings. This is what it's about. It's about feelings. Blame. Come on. Who are to blame? Can you honestly tell me that those people, any one of them, have changed their mind? And I'll tell you why I don't think they have. Because I don't think that the concern, I'm not agreeing with it, hey? I'm not agreeing with it. This is not about me agreeing with Trump or Biden, Republican, Democrat. That's not what this is about. It's just about predicting a possible outcome because the blame game hasn't been addressed. Do you think those people, the issues that they brought up, the reasons they voted, any of those been addressed? Any of them?
Well, they think the election was stolen, so that has never been addressed.
It doesn't matter, Steve. It doesn't matter. They are still people that can put an X in a booth or online or whatever it is. Do you think that someone like Biden or the Democratic Party, because that if you don't like Trump, you obviously want more of that. You want a blue situation or a red situation. Do you think that anybody has genuinely reached across the aisle, like Reagan did, for instance, and said, "Hey guys, don't worry about it. I know the wall is an issue for you. Don't dismiss what they're saying. If you want to win the election, as idiotic as you may think a wall issue is, or Mexicans coming to rape our women is, all these silly things that were brought up, these fear-mongering things, that's not the point. These people still have that in their mind's eye. You need to talk to that. You need to recognize that, not dismiss it. Don't agree with it. You don't have to agree with it. But you've got to recognize it. You've got to understand that people are concerned about stuff. And when they make their X or whatever it is they make, that will speak to the way they vote. And as my friend Darren, who's a mate of mine who lives in Connecticut, said to me, around the world, also particularly in America, you have the one issue voter. This is important to me. Who is speaking to me? And I have to say, I support the intellectualism of some of the arguments from the left side, but I'm telling you right now, it's not you're not converting the choir. If Trump had to run right now,
Well, here, let me to go back to your Reagan thing.
Get your
Yeah.
house in Canada ready.
Reagan and Tip O'Neill used to have Scotch nights where they'd have Scotch and cigars and talk and get plastered, and it was well documented. I don't think there's been a president. I know they had Obama had a beer with somebody, and I was like, that was a waste. John, whatever his name was, but I think the Tip O'Neill Reagan era was the last time where a Democrat and a Republican, if you will, president and the Speaker of the House, if you will, or whoever, got together on a weekly basis to go through things. I think today, and I don't think this has anything to do. I don't think there's anything to do with Trump. I just think it's just today in general. There is so much us against them that I don't think anybody. See, if I was president, we'd be having Scotch and cigars every like Friday afternoon. It's Scotch and cigar day. Like you come over to the White House, we're going to sit and talk. And we're going to talk like human beings. We're not screaming at each other. We're not doing Fox News, right? We're going to do a real dialogue between people and see if we can work things out. The only thing right now that they both agree on, both parties, and it was in the news, and this is hysterical, they are both agreed to pass a bipartisan bill on full disclosure now on UFOs. That's what they agree on. Not going to make the country better. Which I guess it does because it's good to know who your overlords are, the lizard people, my people. And that's awesome. But that's what they're bipartisan. That's what they agree on, is that we should go and find out now what the military and the government's been hiding about UFOs. I'm all for it, but I think we may have more pressing issues.
I think the seeds of this go back to the 1920s, and even probably a little bit before then, when the eugenics movement is so deeply embedded in white Christian America, and Trump fed that. He cut a deal with the churches and the people who have a singular belief that they are superior in all aspects. And this great make America great again. That's something from the 1920s. They didn't invent that. Right. This is just getting this stuff out again. And in the 1920s, heading up towards the Depression, all the blame was put on the immigrants from the people who themselves had been immigrants and had gone to the US, but had made their own little enclaves, predominantly white, predominantly Protestant to start off with, and then again they had problems with the Catholics as they poured in. So it's deep seated in the US, and it is racist. It's also
Dave,
built on religious lines.
I've got to say something here, and there's no. I'm not blaming. That's what I'm not doing. I'm not blaming. Okay, but this is the issue. What you raised and the way you raised it, and you have every right to do that. And I'm not disagreeing with you. That isn't the issue. If you want someone, let's say you're a Democratic strategist right now and you want Biden to win re-election. First of all, if you can get a time machine and make him 40 years younger, that'd be the first step. That's beside the point. What you need to do, you need to understand, and I'm going to reference what you said. What you need to understand is the language you need to use. You don't have to worry about your Democratic voters. They're going to vote for you, largely. All right? You need to convince about 7-8 million Republicans to go into the booth and change their mind. Now, when you say...
they're not going to do that.
Hang on. When you say things like, these people, because this is what they hear. I'm telling you right now, when you say, oh, the people that voted for Donald Trump, they supremacists, they eugenics, they white Christian this and they blah, blah, blah. Dave, this is not helping the argument. That isn't necessarily true. It isn't necessarily not true. But everybody has insecurities. And you've said, these are your insecurities. There they are. Dave, I've got insecurities. You've got insecurities. The problem is
I'm just trying to highlight. I'm just trying to highlight the fact.
You misunderstand me. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying if you want them to come over to your side, because politically this is what you want. You want them to hear you.
I can't see it happening.
Any of that kind of language, and I'm not saying you're wrong, Dave. You're not listening to me. This is the problem. You are right. But when you use that kind of, when you say this goes back to the 1920s, I'm not saying you're wrong, but this is the wrong. There is a better way to approach folks and say, look, John, I know what you're saying about the wall. It is an issue. There is a global situation which has kind of left you behind. But you know what we're going to do? I recognize that. It must be really tough for you, mate. So let's see if we can get you on board that train. Let's see. Maybe you don't understand a few things. Maybe we can help you. I don't know. This is already sounding patronizing, but you've got to address the guy's concerns. It doesn't matter whether you agree with them. Otherwise, if you don't, Donald Trump will stand up and he will address them and he will get voted in. And I'm telling you right now, Biden and the Democratic, all that group are saying, I've heard a lot of the things they've said, and this is wrong, and these people and MAGA. I'm not disagreeing with them, but it's not going to make them vote for you. And this is the danger, not just of American politics, of around the world. It's the blame thing. Now, I'm going to give you the evidence that I was going to give you earlier. This song that came out last week, you know the one I'm talking about, Try That in a Small Town, right? You guys know about it, right? You know about the song.
No.
Wow. You're kidding me.
If it's not the FT or the Economist, it's not real news to me, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, wow. I can tell you now, people that are watching this will know exactly what I'm talking about. There's the Jason Aldean song, Try That in a Small Town. Really? Nothing. Whoa.
No.
Oh, well, guys. Okay, so
But you do live on the other half of the planet, of course. So
who does?
You do. So maybe
mate, that doesn't matter. The internet connects everything. Oh, wow. When this is over, gentlemen, you must go and have a look. Jason Aldean, Aldean, Try That in a Small Town. And your whole YouTube situation will blow up because it is going viral. It is a big deal right now. So this guy brought out a song. Oh, wow. I really thought, okay, all right, good. And there are people right now that are laughing because they're going, oh, why don't these guys know about the song? Right. So
well, we're two old farts, mate. That's why we haven't. That's why we don't.
Okay. This song came out.
We're still trying to get our heads around 1920s American politics.
Dave, allow me to bring you from 1920 to 2023.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Good.
Thank you.
So this song, Jason Aldean is a country singer, right?
Okay.
And he brought the song out in May. It's called Try That in a Small Town.
Is he a US singer? Rolt, is he a US singer?
Country.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think he's from Georgia.
Okay.
He brought the song out, and really it was Try That in a Small Town. You know, he was referencing all the stuff going on, the protests and the violence. He talks about a woman cussing out a cop to his face. He talks about burning the flag. He talks about robbing a liquor store. He talks about carjacking a woman at a light. He talks about criminality. He says, try this in a small town. You try that in a small town, we will take care of you because we take care of our own. And this message resonated across small town America, which is really the big part. And they said, exactly, all this nonsense going on. You come and try that stuff in our town, we'll sort you out. Right. Nowhere in the song is color mentioned. Criminality is mentioned and the response to it. And then the guys that they put a music video together in front of a courthouse. It's in Tennessee. I forget the name, but it's quite a well-known courthouse. And apparently this is where lynching happened in 1927.
Okay.
Right. So, but it's a courthouse. That wasn't their intention, but of course that became the focal point. You have filmed this music video talking about criminality, how little towns are going to respond to it in front of a courthouse where a black man was lynched. You guys are supremacists, you white racists, anti-BLM, blah, 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 blah. I would encourage you all to go and have a look at the song. So,
I'm watching it right now. I just see a bunch of guys building a house in a gated community.
Difference is, this is what's interesting. Country Music Television responded to this by pulling the video.
Okay.
There was an outcry on The View, but it didn't end there.
Okay.
Pretty much, there are a couple of guys, some African-American YouTubers who went online and defended Jason Aldean and said, hang on a second. Your response to the song, saying it's racist, it's all these things, is really, it's your problem. Because what you're saying is you got this white guy who's referenced criminality and talking about how small towns have responded to it. And the first thing you think of is that it must be a black guy he's talking about. Nowhere is color mentioned. In the video, there's a white woman shouting at a cop. There are white people doing stuff. There's all people, but there's no pointing. No one's pointing to a race. They're saying criminality won't be tolerated in small towns like it is in the big towns because we take care of our own. And all these guys, these African American bloggers, were actually very defensive, and they said, "You guys, you people who responded by saying that Aldine is a racist, he's X, Y, and Z, you're the racist because we would stick with him. We grew up with him. We share his value system. Because you try that in this town, that is we will defend America alongside him." And small town America has banded together. People who are sick and tired of all this nonsense going on have banded together. This thing is blowing up. But this one African American YouTuber, he referenced all these, and he did it on purpose, white liberal people calling him Aldine, saying that he was a racist, a supremacist because of this song and the way it was filmed. And then you cut to a bunch of African American guys, and all of them, to a man, thought the song was great. They loved the song, they loved the message. They are also sick and tired of the BS. It's not a race thing. It's a very interesting thing that's blowing up all over the States right now.
So I like the video, and just for the people that don't know about it, the video is basically historical video of riots and whatever it might be. And yes, and then they have the flag and a burning, and they're throwing Molotov cocktails. It's an interesting video. They'll also let you know it's got 1 million thumbs up, and it has 19 million views in 12 days. It's the number 2 trending music on TikTok. I think the number 1 is right. So, and it has, I'm watching like riots in LA from the 60s. You're watching riots of late. You're watching guys fight with police, women fight with police. You're watching a whole thing. So it's a very interesting show. I'm going to listen to it later, but from what I can tell, he's making a point. And I'll listen to the lyrics and see what the point is. We can't play it on our channel because YouTube will have a heart attack.
What you're going to see is a lot of people, and when I say people, I'm talking African American folks who are supposed to be offended by this, and they're all saying, "Screw you." Because
why would they be offended? This isn't showing race in his video. It's showing everybody.
Aldine is saying we're all Americans. We're sick and tired of this, and it's not about color. It's about criminality. You can't do these things. If you do, we'll sort you out. We'll take care of our own. And I don't know the color thing. And as the one guy said, the one YouTuber guy said, I think his name's Tatum or something like that. He said, if you have to not shoot a video where something happened, he says, basically the whole of the South is off limits then, because stuff happened everywhere. There were slaves walking everywhere, he said, and I'm quoting him. There were people getting lynched everywhere, and trees, courthouses, you name it. So you really just can't film anywhere in the South. And that courthouse, apparently, where they filmed, I think Miley Cyrus did a video there. Mario Lopez filmed something there. So he's saying, what are they also?
Well, if Mario Lopez did a video, then of course it's okay. So.
But you see how ridiculous it is. Why would you think that when a man is referencing criminality, you immediately jump to a color?
All right.
And it exposes people's own biases, and it's blown up. Wow, it's.
I just told you, 19 million views in 12 days.
But it gets back to my blame thing, because people are tired of it. I think, and I'm not saying this is true. I think small town America is a microcosm for the world. I think people are they're tired of all these things going on. They're tired of being blamed. And they're going, this is not me. I didn't do this. The common thing is, mate, I didn't have slaves. The one guy said, why is it? He says, we have reached I'm remembering now. He says, we've reached a special level, or a stupid level of insanity, when people are being blamed for things that happened lifetimes ago, not even in their lifetime. Whereas people, and things they didn't do. Whereas people who are doing things now in this lifetime are not being held accountable. He says it's gone mad. The world has gone mad. And I think people are responding to that message. They are tired of being blamed. They just want to live their lives. They just want to go about their business. They don't want to be blamed for things that happened hundreds of years ago. They weren't benefactors of it. They weren't a part of it. And they're just normal people. And I think they're just fed up with it, of whatever color. It's not a color thing at all.
Well, the funny thing about the slave
I know.
blame is that when you read a history book, and I'm reading one called The World, which I keep promoting, slavery was not a white thing. It started as a black thing, and it started, well, Samaria had it, so whatever you want to call people from the Middle East back in the day, if they were white, black, green, I don't care. But it started with the Sumerians, then the Egyptians, then moved over to Africa. So what ended up happening is if you go to war with a neighboring tribe or kingdom and you won, then they were your slaves and they enslaved them. What happened in Africa and they were trading slaves well before Africa, and slaves were white and slaves were black and slaves were it was like the rainbow, right? They were multicolored. It just wasn't black. There was whites and everybody being traded as slaves, Asians, whatever it might be. What made it where it is, where only people think white people had slaves and did the slave trade, is history books are wrong. The Dutch West Indies Company had a lot to do with it as well, a bunch of Dutch white guys. But ultimately, when they landed in Africa, and the Indian chiefs are like, "What are you going to do for us?" And they're like, "What are you going to do for us?" And they go, "Well, we have all these, 20,000 people we just captured. Oh, we'll take them." And
you want some?
Yeah, you want a few. And they go, "What are you going to do for us?" "We'll give you guns and this and that." So what ended up happening was they gave guns and this, so that better than spears. So I'm trading it out. And then all of a sudden it was like, because they were a different color, they were like, "Oh, then you're less of a person." But they were only less of a person in America. They were less of a person for a while in Europe, and then that changed. Then Europe, like in the 1800s, they were then people of prominence of color. In the States, it was, oh, no, until we had, the unpleasantness in 1860s. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh, okay. And still today, I still think people don't realize that Lincoln freed them. But it's like, so there's this thing, but throughout history, there were white slaves and black slaves and every other color. So it's not, when they say, "Oh, you did this or you did that," I didn't do shit. I wasn't alive back in 1860. I hate to tell you this, 1850. Right. More blame. I got it. But it's also like, and I feel bad for the indigenous people here in America. I mean, I'm glad our government gave them land and did whatever. But ultimately, it was sort of like, in the 1800s, they're like, "We'll give them blankets with smallpox. We'll do this. We'll do that." So it's as a race, unfortunately, as a white race, if we don't like something, we basically kill it off. You know what I mean? And that's really pathetic. And so the blame game, unfortunately, has probably been going on since ancient Sumerian time to today. It will continue to go on. And I don't care what idiot wins the 2024 election. I think people globally are just getting tired of their leaders. I think they're getting tired of the BS. And I think between the YouTubes and the TikToks and Instagram and the photos and we can put things live immediately. Governments can't lie anymore. And what's happening is, to David's credit, in his 2027 apocalyptic videos that you can watch on our channel, people, I think, and my mom used to say this when she's alive, there's going to be a civil war because people are going to get tired of it. And I think that's what's happening now. People are getting tired of stuff. So rioting, they're like, "We're just going to riot." I don't agree with it, but it won't change anything. But they're like, "We're going to show that we want to take things back. We're going to do this." And so I think people have lost the ability to have a dialogue and people to listen to someone else's point of view without screaming and hollering at each other like Fox News. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And that comes, and we're going to go back to this, parenting. The parents haven't taught these people. And so what's happening is, at a certain age level now, they think they're entitled and they want, and blah, blah. And I think that's what's going on. And until we get back to some values, and values are not 15 minutes of fame and I want to be a billionaire. The values are, I want to help my fellow man and I'm going to do the best I can. Then this is going to get worse before it gets better. So tongue in cheek, I say, I do hope the overlords come, whether it's AI, HAL from 2001, or the lizard people show up. And I hope they show up sooner than later, because ultimately maybe that'll help. And I remember I spoke to a guy once who told me the biggest fear of any government and the Catholic Church is if you find out aliens are real, you are no longer a South African or whatever David is, a Heinz 57 because he lives in so many countries, or a U.S. citizen. You are now an earthling. And once you become an earthling, no one will be able to control you because now you realize there's a bigger purpose in the universe than the little marble that's the third rock from the sun that we live on. And that is, I think, what scares the powers to be.
I want to say one thing. We were talking
Sure.
about all those historical things. First of all, none of us were around 200 years ago. So
Right.
what we know is what people told us. That's just the first thing. And we are told things by people who want us to know certain things, but not other things. That's just human nature. So facts have been changed, manipulated. To the victor go the spoils. He gets to tell the story. And this has happened for millennia or whatever it is. So that's the thing. So I guess the issue for me, the sort of wrapping things up, for me, the point is it's easy to blame. I mean, if you go back any country 300-400 years ago, they were despicable people, all of them, whatever color, what they thought about, the way they looked at women, children, other races, grouping, they were shocking. I mean, what the English did around the world is revolting. But then right now, things are different. Now, I mean, look at Germany. Look what was going on 80 years ago. Now, in 2023, I mean, there was a Chinese tourist who thought it was funny to do a Sikh Hail salute.
Yeah.
They arrested him. The Germans are a little pissed off about that. What I'm saying is the Germans that you have now are not the Germans you had around 80 years ago. They have learned, they have adapted, they have improved. This is what people do. If you're not improving, if we still had slaves now, then you've got something to moan about. But the point is, well, there's human trafficking and there's all sorts of
So you still have slavery. It's just different.
Saying,
right.
If there was like in America now, if there was government mandated slavery, you could go, hey, come on. But people have moved on. And I guess what they're saying is, look, I can't be responsible for what my grandfather did. I can just make sure I don't do what he did. And I think by and large, I think that's where people are. I think we've got lessons to learn, but we're tired of being blamed for what happened before, because that solves nothing. It doesn't win people over. So as easy as it is to blame, you kind of have to drop that. Now, I know that's easier said than done, but it gets back to my original point. This is why I brought it up, because blame is like this acid that just eats away at everything. Dialogue. We can't talk to one another. We can't listen. We can't joke. I can't, like you make jokes about, the Jews running the world, whatever.
No, that's not a joke. That's true, by the way. That's not.
But that is true. You see. So what I'm saying is, we've got to take certain things seriously, joke about certain things, but don't hang on to everything like people do. And this is what blame does. It stops you. It stops you. Now, people might say, oh, it's easy for you. You can say it because X, Y, and Z didn't happen to you. Sure. But as my mum used to say, everybody, if you put people in a group and they all throw their troubles into a pile, you'll run for your own. You will run for your troubles. Trust me, because you don't know what other people have gone through. You haven't a clue what their struggle is. It doesn't matter whether they're black, white, green, purple. Look what what happened to them in 1945. Look where they are today. I mean, every single group around the world has suffered in one way or the other. They've been persecuted, they've lost the battle, and they've taken strain. And they have said, all right, but you get certain groups who said, all right, it's done. Let's move on, let's rebuild. That is hard to do. Of course it is. But I think when people just continually hang on to things, it stops you from finding your own solution, because it's someone else's problem. It's someone else's problem. So you've got to stop blaming. Now, it is easy to say, I'm not saying that, but there isn't another option. You have to let it go, because it will stop you from finding out what you can do. Because you got to drag this crap with you. Blame is you got to, it's a heavy load to bear.
I agree with you 100%.
Well, you blame me because I'm going to have to run the credits. So
it's your fault, Dave.
It's all your fault, David, as usual. So
what can I say?
Hey, everybody, before David runs the credits, don't forget to subscribe and leave your comments below. Raul will be back next week. Well, next week is next month. He'll be back next month. We'll put the show date below. You can watch it, and you can see some of his shorts that we have out on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, or wherever else we have stuff going on. And you can link to our media below. Thank you for watching. Leave your comments. We'll see you all soon. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
you so much for listening to this Roald Woods, Rob Vega, whatever the hell he wants to call himself, fellow. You know, this podcast thing, it makes him feel very important, and he's a difficult fellow as it is to deal with. So thank you so much for putting up with him, and do take care.